Okay. I think we're
Okay.
recording. Sorry, thank you.
So I call this nominating committee meeting to order at 2:02 p.m. on March 18th, 2021. Beth, could you do roll?
Yes. Hall.
Present.
McNulty.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
And also present.
And so, oh, sorry, Beth has to say she's here.
That's okay. That's Stonebrenner CCS. Thank you.
And okay, so I didn't see your email until last night, Diane, about sending out the email to everyone, which I thought I had done, but it turns out it was in my drafts. And I didn't see it until like really late last night. And then I decided not to send it because I thought what we could do instead, if this works for everyone, is look at the list that Rebecca was so kind to put together in our last executive committee packet, and then reach out to everyone and then have them all report to me. I can share with Beth kind of if we have multiple. And then if not, we can just kind of do the slate through emailing Beth. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. Well, I didn't hit send. That's what happened. It's a very easy thing. Luckily now I've gone through my drafts and there were a couple other things. I'm like, oh, great. I should look at this more often. So we have three spots: president-elect, vice president, secretary, and member at large. I did hear from one person that would like to be considered to stay on the board, and that is Diane. So that is 8. But let me pull up, hang on, where is it? I have it open.
I forgot. It was a list of when people.
Yes, I just need to find it now. I just opened it and now it's gone.
My screen.
Hang on.
I do have it pulled up.
Was that in the packet?
Yeah.
It was a link
Or did
here.
that
I'm
come
going to
up with the-
send in the chat the link to this document. And then I'm also going to share I'm not going to share my screen because the host has disabled screen sharing. Wow, Rebecca, thanks a lot.
Sorry about that. I can share. I have it open if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, that would be great.
I don't know if Diane will also be able to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see everything. I just don't have a camera, so you can't see me.
Mm-hmm. So you could be making faces at us and being like rolling your eyes at these people.
I hope she's
so
am I
before,
actually you're able to
yeah,
see
we can
the
see everything.
screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Before we do this, I just want to check in. So Heidi and Diane, does that sound okay? That we can kind of make a list, maybe looking at who's been on the board the last few years, seeing who isn't, and maybe we just reach out to them and just kind of do this through email, through Beth. Does that sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then if we need to, we could have a really short meeting right before our next meeting when we're going to be presenting to verify everything.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah, fine with me. It doesn't go back far enough. I was president one time.
That's awesome. Yeah, so we don't have, because Beth, the only thing I was able to find was like a list of like the full directory. We don't have just a list of all of the directors, correct?
I'm sure I have one saved somewhere. I can certainly pull it up.
We'll do this really quickly. I'm going to just go through the libraries, and if you can just highlight who has served, and then we'll put down below in column B anyone who hasn't served for, I'm going to say since, we want to say 16, 17. Okay.
That sounds good.
So Algonquin, obviously Sarah is currently serving. Diane is currently serving, but of course we want to consider her because she was an appointment. Kim was in 1819. And then Joe Bonell. So I don't know when Holly was last on, but do we want to consider if the library has served or the specific person?
I think library is simplest.
Okay.
Holly was on in 1819.
Okay. And then Ela, of course, Matt was president in 1718. Karen Danzig Lyons. So she was back in 15, but I think we should put her, I mean, that was 5 years ago. Fox River Valley, of course, it is still Roxanne again. Poor Roxanne, she'll never be done.
They just put up their director search, and it's like a little booklet, and they're doing it themselves.
Yeah, so I don't think we should list her though, because she's not going to be staying on. And then Scott Davis was 16, 17.
I'm just going to say do not consider.
Yep, that's perfect. And then Glencoe, Andy was treasurer.
He was just.
Yeah.
19, 20, 18, 19.
And then I don't think Glenview, Vicky wasn't on recently, was she? And now it's Lindsay.
Oh, no, the last Glenview was actually.
Oh, that was a while. Who is that? Janovitz. Oh, Jane, the assistant director. Okay. Grays Lake. Well, no, because they just joined. So, and Sarah hasn't been. Highland Park, Jane was on. Of course, Heidi is on. That doesn't, I'm sorry. I'm like thinking, you're here right now.
So much Highland Park.
Huntley is on. Indian Trails, Brian has not been on. And then Lake Forest, I know that Catherine was something.
Yeah.
Oh, 17, 18. And then Lake Villa is now Mick. And so he is already on. And then Lincolnwood, obviously Sue was on for like ever. So, of course, Sue.
16, 17.
And then McHenry, obviously Leslie is new, but Jim was on with me.
Yeah. No.
No, yeah, Jim was on. Oh, maybe I'm thinking long range planning.
Yeah.
But I don't think we should consider, I don't think it's fair to do that to a brand new director.
Well, we could go back through the list and
see
and highlight them if they're new. So if you wanted to undo that and put that back in. Oh, okay. Never mind. I saw that you changed it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So put it back to do not consider.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Horton Grove, Pam obviously is serving now. And then Niles, did Susan, has she served?
I don't see it.
Okay.
No, not recently.
Yeah.
I think Linda Weiss might have been the last one that served.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So that's been what, 4 years, 5? How long ago was that now? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Longer.
And then you already got me. Palatine, of course, was new. So Jeannie hasn't. And then we should not consider Park Ridge because they, of course, are doing a director search. Someone abandoned them. No, I'm just kidding. And then Prospect Heights, Alex served right before me. And then Round Lake, Jim. That was a little while ago.
15, 16.
Yeah. And then Wilmette, Anthony is now. And then Winnetka, I don't think we should consider even though she's not a brand new director, she's new to Winnetka. I don't think that'd be fair to Monica. And then Zion Benton, of course, is still, wow, there's a lot of like, I keep thinking that the
Sure.
director piece will slow down.
Yeah, Zion had Mick, and then Carol was also on. But they
Yeah,
all-
that's a good point.
Right, that's right. There we go.
So then what do we think about just contacting? So we have 3 spots. Diane has already put her name in, which I know we have to like reach out, and it wouldn't be fair to just say like Diane gets a slot, but did we want to just reach out to these 5 first, see if any of them are interested in any of the spots? I feel like I mean, Lindsay is just finishing her first year, but I think that, so I wouldn't recommend for, I think being president of it without having gone through a couple cycles is a lot, but I do feel like Brian, Susan, and Jeannie would be able to take on that responsibility. I know Sarah is doing a major reorg now, but I know it's still a year away before they would actually be president, but what do you guys think about just approaching these 5 for the 3 for the secretary at large and vice president, president-elect?
Sounds good. I'm not sure when, well, Susan will let you know if she can't, but I don't know when she's retiring.
Wait, what?
I thought
I
that
think
she said something about she was going to do in a couple of years, but I can't remember when I heard that. Kind of like me.
but she, I mean, what is she, like early 50s?
I don't know what she is. I thought she was older.
Okay, I'm not good at that. I assume that everyone is either my age, 20, or 60. It's like those are the 20, you're either 20, 40, or 60. Those are the 3 ages that you get.
See, mine are like high school, 40 or 80. Like I'm
Fair. That's
all
fair.
over the place. We're all 40.
Yeah, that's basically what I default to. I'm like, yeah, director, you're probably the same age as I am. That makes sense.
I think it sounds like a really good plan. And
I
I think Diane, if I'm understanding correctly, you're saying that you know, if we need another tier, that you would be willing to serve.
Oh, I think we should put Diane in the list for sure.
Oh,
I'm
good.
willing to serve as secretary or member at large, because I know I've got like 2 years left here.
Very, okay. So, because then the 3 years for
Yeah,
past president wouldn't work for you. Okay.
And I think I would just say that, you know, if we're looking for fresh meat, great. If we're looking for someone to start with that, you know, VP president, past president 3-year thing, I'm interested, but I've already been on for 2 years, so it might be good to have.
Oh, wait. So
new
can we
people.
do that? I didn't even think about that.
Well, I didn't either until just now because, you know, we're thinking about all these other things. There's so many other
And
things.
so then would that make your position then open? Do you know how that works, Beth?
I think Heidi's position is already open. Isn't that one of the member at
Yes.
large? Yeah.
Right.
So
the
Right.
Heidi-
I
nominating
would be-
committee are the people that are going off.
Right. I would be the member at large going off, right?
Okay, so this is what I would like to do. I
But
recognize
again, I don't
that.
want to be that guy who like has
No,
the
no, no.
nominating committee and
This
just
is-
nominates themselves.
Okay, so because what's going to be happening is we need someone who can help with the with migrating to potentially to a new office and figuring all of that out. So that's going to be the major project during your presidency, right? Is what would be the main area of focus. Does that sound of interest?
You know what? Well, I love crap like that, but that makes me think that Brian would be amazing
Mhm.
because they just did the big reno where they had to move here, they had to move there, they had to move here. He's so calm.
Okay, so this is, I'm gonna do this like world building Game of Thrones crap right now. So, okay, this is what I think we should do.
Okay.
I think we should slot Diane as the secretary. I think we should slot Heidi as the president-elect. I think we should ask Brian to be the member at large, and then he could then potentially take on the presidency and be a huge support for Heidi, and having the two of you do it would be tremendously helpful. But he hasn't been on the board before, and while he is very capable and has been on a lot of boards, I think he would be excellent. I think though that, because he still has, I think, one more year on the ILA board, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But what do we think about doing that? Which is very much world building and not really putting it out there for a lot of people, which we're allowed to do that as the nominating committee. God, if someone watches this, I'm going to get such crap. Diane and Heidi, what do you guys think?
I'm thinking that sounds fine. I think
Okay.
I think if we're going to be doing this moving and everything, by the time he's off of ILA, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a committee and he could
Oh,
head the
yeah.
committee. The
Yeah.
moving committee.
Yes. You know, and during a move, someone really needs like moral support and chocolate. And I have both of those. So I think I'm going to be a great asset to this. What is wrong with me today?
I
This
love
is
it.
being recorded, isn't it?
Sure is. For all time. Okay, so do we feel that there is anything we need to do or any flack we will get for basically like not opening it up? I know we've only opened it up in the past. Like it hasn't always been like, hey, everyone, anyone who's interested. It's been more selective in previously. But do we see any issues with moving forward this way? Is there anything else we need to do?
I will say I can see, and you know who this person is because she's my neighbor, but I can see one person maybe making a comment about it not being opened up. But we can open it up at the meeting and say, is there anyone from the floor? And leave it at that.
Well, and I know that this isn't really necessary, but to me, you know, one thing that might be helpful is to have the logic explained, where you say, you know, we looked at, you know, library representation, you know, we looked at wanting to have, you know, someone move up into the role of, you know, VP who had been part of this. Do you know what I mean? Like just sort of like here was what we were looking for. And that we wanted to bring in someone new from one of the newer member libraries, but we didn't want it to be all the new member libraries. And if people were looking for directors, you know, just sort of like here were the considerations. Yeah. So based on the considerations, here's what we came up with. And then to Diane's point, nominations from the floor is fantastic.
Right? Bring it. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've got Anthony, Mick, and Pam who are going to be continuing.
And so having Heidi as more of an additional continuation, especially as Pam moves into her presidency as one of the newer libraries. Again, she has ample experience running boards, running meetings. It's more the CCS knowledge, you know, and that I think is also a huge argument for Diane, right? You have that institutional knowledge, which is why I don't think you should retire.
Well, maybe not for 3 more years, and you could do.
I'll have 40 years in CCS next year.
That's
in 2022.
amazing.
That's fantastic.
Because when I was at Barrington joined in 82.
Congratulations or condolences. I'm not sure which way that should go.
I don't know, that 40, if that 40-year thing keeps
Yeah.
popping up, 40 years in IMRF, 40 years in CCS. Actually, I had a year break when I first started here before we joined.
The one thing I will say, just to play devil's advocate, is that is a lot of Highland Park. Because Conway was in 13, 14, 14, 15.
Yeah, but I would
Conway.
argue that because you've been at multiple CCS libraries, it gives you a couple different perspectives, which is really helpful. Because yes, you're at Highland Park, but you're not so entrenched at Highland Park. You also can still pull on your Park Ridge experience, which is very helpful.
Okay, well, I'm happy to serve, but just one of the devil's advocate things.
Well, and looking back though, Jane was on in 14, 15 as a member at large, and then she was secretary in 1920. So it's
Yeah.
not impressive.
And keep in mind that, yeah, she left early on in 2021. When was that? I can't remember. It was, I think maybe July.
July 2020.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah. So our goal after an incredibly turbulent and challenging year is to provide more continuity in the board. We all have a lot on our plates. And so providing people that have been on the board so we're not completely shaking things up, and can ensure that CCS continues to function at a governance level really well, without having, we know this next year is still going to be challenging for us at our libraries. So we're doing a slate that is giving us a more even continuation to get us all the way through the pandemic.
That'll be helpful for Pam as well, because she still has the Overdrive Consortium that she's
Yes.
on the board of.
I asked her
So-
last week, I said, do you think you'll ever, she's like, I hope so someday. So,
Well, and she keeps asking for volunteers, and I thought about volunteering for that, but being that I'd have to leave to get replaced at this
Yeah.
time. Yeah, too much going on.
Which consortium is that?
It's the Digital Library of Illinois.
Oh,
It used
okay.
to be, it used to be
electronic
Media Mall.
content,
Well,
Wait.
that's ECC.
your
is the
ECC you're
board.
talking, yeah, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so we're members of that. I'm just learning about all this stuff.
Well, it used to be My Media Mall.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
it's now.
But
Digital
we
Library.
pried ourselves away from Skip and went it alone.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean really Pam and Ryan did like all of the work to make that happen. But I told Pam, I have it on my list for next week to look at the member list on the website. I know a couple of people downstate that might be willing to step up. I think you have to get them on the board before you can shove them into the presidency. And I know that the board now is like, okay, it's time for some transitioning, but it's really hard. And I think when you just shout out, especially a group that large, they're not going to get people.
Well, that's almost something where you have to call people and say. hey,
Exactly. So yeah, so I told Pam I would call some people that I know that I think would be good, that are either managers or directors. Because this is actually, the ECC is a great opportunity to get some experience working on a board if you're at a manager level and want to gain that experience. Because really, other than like Laconia or an ILA committee, which doesn't really function in the same way as like a true governance board, it's a really great way for them to get that experience. So yeah. Okay, so I will reach out to Brian, and then I will write up something that we can include in the packet. Or do we just do a verbal? Because I feel like it would be better to present it in writing with the reasoning so that people can process it.
I think so. And it could be pretty brief, bulleted, like here were the considerations.
Beth, when would you guys need that by?
Well, I was just thinking, since we'll have minutes for this, depending on how detailed you want the minutes, that we could include your explanation, your considerations within the minutes, and I can draft those and share them with you, Kate, to look at if you'd like, and revise as needed. I mean, if we would want to have them in time to include in the packet, which would go, every single calendar that I have is blocked right now, by April 7th. Unless you think the three of you will need to meet again. Doesn't sound like it.
So I don't think so. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, that would be great. And then, so I'm going to ask for a motion to recommend the following slate contingent upon approval by each of the people we're recommending, by acceptance by each of the people we're recommending. Diane McNulty from Cary Area Public Library for secretary, Brian Shepard from Indian Trails Public Library for the member at large, and Heidi Smith from the Highland Park Public Library for president-elect vice president. Would anyone be willing to make that motion?
I'll make that. Oh,
So
I'll
moved.
second.
Okay, great. So Diane makes the motion, Heidi seconds. Beth, could you do roll?
Paul, McNulty,
Yes.
and Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. And so then if for some reason Brian says no, I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Do
And
we
if you have
want
any
to have a
other
backup?
interest, if anyone else approaches you, you can let them know, hey, bring it up at the meeting.
So, I mean, do we want to go, if Brian isn't, do we want to do Susan?
She's been on a long time and I don't know, she's served maybe on a committee.
Right? I feel like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to do that motion. I'll come back to you guys and then we might need to have a little mini meeting to formally do the slate. Does that sound good, Beth?
So you
You would
don't,
think that I've never heard of OMA. Like, so we're recommending a slate contingent. If that slate doesn't go, Heidi and Diane are recommending that we approach Susan and then we'll formally, if she accepts, we can formally update the slate right before the meeting. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we would just need to schedule another short meeting. Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, so the motion will stand as you stated, the following slate contingent upon acceptance, and I'll include the three names you're recommending and the positions. But then as a next step, you're going to follow up with Brian. And
Correct.
Brian says, we may
Correct.
need to have another meeting, and that's when the motion can be updated.
Yes. And if Brian says no, I will reach out to Susan. And then if Susan says no, I'll reach out and we can decide if we need to have an earlier meeting or I can just keep going through the list.
I'd say just go through the list. I think anybody on that list would be great. So
Yeah.
you can just,
And member at large is a 2-year term, correct?
Yes. It is.
So next year, Anthony will cycle off, so there'll be another member at large opening next year, as well as treasurer.
Yes.
I think that's it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because Mick is, well, no, Mick is just this year and it's 2,
Wait,
right?
no.
No,
Mick-
yes, next year will be year 2 for Mick, right? Sorry.
Sorry, he was member at large before, yes.
Okay. All right, that sounds great. Thank you guys so much for working with me after I just royally messed this up, but we figured it out. So thank you, much appreciated.
well, thank you.
And thank you guys both for being willing to serve. I think that will be great. Is there anything else we need to discuss? Hearing none, I declare the meeting of the nominating committee adjourned at 2:32 on March 18th, 2021. Thanks, Beth.
All right, I'm gonna figure out how to stop sharing.
And then unrelated, oh, you're still recording.
Yeah, let me hit that. Let me